I think there is something that many self-improvement YouTubers and content creators are forgetting to talk about, and that is the problem of nature and the environment. Things like climate change and all that sort of stuff. All of these YouTubers and content creators, they brush it aside with a toxically positive mindset where they believe that the stuff that people are saying on the internet, which admittedly can be quite misconstrued, is way over sort of pessimistic and negative, and on people on Twitter that are glooming and dooming about all the problems that this will create are just being negative. And if you go outside and you actually do go outside into the nature that still does exist inside of the world, you will find that you will still be happy, and that it's almost like there is still enough nature in the world. But the problem is that it is steadily decreasing the amount of sort of greenery, forest, wildlife, and places that where you can come to relax and do the kind of things that I'm doing right now. That is steadily decreasing, and it is something that I think is worth talking about. This whole topic of protecting the environment and actually having somewhat of a care for nature, not just utilizing it for its many benefits such as reducing stress and improving your mental health, not just taking it for granted in a way, using it and not realizing that in 100 years or so the forest that you may currently use to relax may be completely gone and may be turned into some kind of an industrial estate and housing, and there won't be any sort of green space, any forest that you can truly come to relax for the nearest 10 miles from where you currently live. That's the sort of dystopian situation that could potentially come about, and I'm not trying to be negative. I do agree that there should be some sort of positive mindset, but there's sort of the over-enthusiastically toxic positivity where they just think that it's all going to be fine, and everyone on Twitter and on the internet is just glooming and dooming about all the issues that could arise from like climate change and all that sort of stuff. But in my opinion, that toxically positive mindset is no different from the mindset of body positivity that you may have seen on the internet as well. The people that say that, oh, we should all love our bodies and we shouldn't care what other people think of them, we should accept and be sort of self-caring, we shouldn't have any hatred for who we are. And while that can seem quite good in essence, there's also the sort of side of it where it's like, oh, if you go to the gym then you're fat phobic because you're afraid of becoming fat, and that is where it gets to the quite extreme level. Having a positive body mindset is where there are things that you can't change about you, things like burns, things like stretch marks and scars. That's and not judging those things on other people. That is body positivity. Not someone who is obese and overweight because they eat too much on a daily basis and they don't exercise and they can't be bothered to do anything about it, so they just go with the whole body positivity thing. That isn't body positivity, because that is actually something that's negatively impacting your body, and there's no positives to doing that to yourself. And in my opinion, that sort of mindset where you're ignoring the problems such as being overweight and being obese, you're ignoring the problems of a certain topic, and that is exactly what people are doing when it comes to the environment and those who speak about self-improvement. They're ignoring the problems of climate change. And I don't mean to sort of sound like an idiot that is a tree hugger and cares about nature way too much, but I find it very hypocritical that the people that say things like nature are incredibly beneficial for your self-improvement journey, they can help your mental health, you can meditate, you can go on runs, you can exercise, they all speak about it like nature is an infinite source, despite the fact that, as I've said, it is a steadily decreasing sort of ecosystem. The amount of wildlife that there is per year probably is decreasing to a certain extent, and I think there is definitely some people that do speak about how to sort of fix this and how to overcome this. You've got people like David Attenborough, who's 90 years old and still does loads of amazing shows about all the wonderful things that occur inside of nature, and I could probably never sort of fathom to reach any kind of level such as that where it comes to raising awareness about climate change and the environment. But I just want to call out some. There's no one in particular, but there is definitely a place for nature, as people do say, but there is also a place for actually caring about nature and having somewhere in your heart for something that has clearly, if it is something that is so good on self-improvement, given you so many benefits and helped you change your life. Building this den that I'm currently recording this video in is a very, very fun thing for me to do during summer, and I do not regret it entirely, despite many people who have a more economical mindset think that it might have been a bit of a waste of time. But it was very fun, and I can still use it to this day for recording these videos if I can't do it in my house or something like that. But if we look 100 years into the future, this den may not exist, because this entire forest around me could potentially be industrial estates, roads, flats, houses, etc. That's not the kind of world that I want to live in. And maybe I won't be living in 100 years' time. I certainly do hope to be, but that'll be sort of the generations of my kids. That'll be the lives that they're living in. I also don't want that for them. And having that selfless mindset is also a very important thing. I just think caring for nature, being more grateful for its sort of existence, and not taking it for granted, essentially. I think being more caring for nature and not taking it for granted is just a very, very useful thing for you. You can actually, it will mean that when you actually do gain the benefits out of nature, such as it's just relaxing and sort of instinctive and natural properties, in a sense, it sort of brings you back to who you are supposed to be as a human being, how you would have been if this was 4,000, 5,000 years ago in a tribe. It brings you back to having that kind of instinctual mindset, and it's a very, very fun thing to do. If you don't take it for granted and actually be grateful for it, enjoy those experiences much more than what you potentially currently do. And I think that is also, again, another benefit that can come from just caring for the world around you. And I think just having a place in your heart for forests and nature, and you don't have to be some wildly extremist tree hugger or someone that throws soup over paintings to get people's attention. You don't have to do that. You can just be someone that picks up litter if you see it in the woods. You can just be someone that doesn't damage nature and wildlife when they actually are utilizing its many benefits and stuff like that. I mean, if you think but if you think back maybe 500-ish years ago, there would have been so much nature around the place that having a fire inside of the woods, not like a wildfire, but having a fire where you'd cook food and cook dinner on, and it would get heated, and it would mean that you weren't eating like raw meat and stuff like that. Having a fire like that in the woods after you've been hunting would have been perfectly acceptable back 500 years ago, because there was such an abundance of nature. But 500 years later, there's not, and almost every single wood and wild place that exists in the UK, because it is such a scarce resource now, you cannot have any like campfires or something that is in the woods, because there is the risk of things burning down, and that is quite understandable. But to me, that is quite an annoying thing, because that would be quite a fun experience to have, setting up a campfire in the woods and like hunting or something and cooking the meat on that fire. That seems like such a wonderful experience to me, yet because of the things that people have done and the human race has done to nature, we don't have the gift of being able to do those kind of things anymore. And there will be even less things that we're able to do inside of nature when it comes to time passing down the line, if we sort of continue to have the mindset of taking it for granted, as so many people do. But with that is about all I had to say on this topic. I recommend subscribing, because I like this community of young tribal people who are willing to improve themselves so much more than they already have, and good luck.